Difference is if so there are two different types. You have the proprietary assessments. So if you're just using EdTPA as EdTPA is designed, then you just list it. Now, if you are modifying it, like for instance, a lot of institutions might modify the Danielson model, and you decide I want to use this, I don't want to use that, or I want to change this up. If you make those changes, that's when you have to show the validity and reliability of your EPP created instruments. So anything that's been modified, anything that's common across programs, so those signature assessments that all of your candidates use. So it might be a disposition assessment, observation instrument. Typically it's about maybe 5 or 6 of even that many that you created as an EPP. And that's where you'll show the content validity of that assessment and the reliability. And so with the content validity, it's really, like she was saying, aligning it. Where are you getting, where are you coming up with the indicators and the competencies? How are those aligned to the various standards, or what standards are you using? And then for the reliability, it's really focused on the inter-rater reliability. How are you doing training? How are you calibrating for your scores? How those calibration meetings, and just really explaining, what's your plan, what actions have you taken to ensure that inter-rater reliability, with those assessments. So really that's all CAEP is looking for. They're not looking for the statistical reliability, and they're not looking at that level. They just really want to make sure that the instruments that you have are aligned with particular standards, and that there is a level of reliability that you have, and that you have a plan and are implementing and have piloted, the assessment before you, instituted across the unit.
So this is focused on across the unit.
Right.
Assessments across the unit.
Yeah.
So embedded assignments within a course or within a program, we would align to like the INTAS standards, of course.
Right. Or even like if there's a content, you might, if for the math program, you might use the math standards. Exactly.
Yeah. And we're using our SPA for early childhood.
Yeah. So you still continue to do that, but in the context of the review, as for the unit review, it's really just looking at the unit-wide assessments.
And according to the PSC2, we're focusing on those four core areas of the INTAS: learner and learning, content knowledge, instructional practice, and professional responsibility. So we want our unit assessments addressing, definitely aligned with those 4 categories.
Correct. It doesn't, all the assessments, at least some assessments, because the standard says that candidates have to show an understanding of the 4 categories. So it might not be all in one assessment.
Oh, sure.
But as long as you sort of track, and I think even that chart that she showed where, even if you did a chart to say, here are the INTAS categories, and these are the assessments that are used that are aligned with this category, then that shows that you're assessing and that you have some data that you're providing to show that candidates, have that understanding of those various levels.
Again, across the unit.
Across the
we're
unit.
Also doing that within program.
Right.
Too, but those vary because what early childhood is using in terms of the program assessments are going to be very different than the secondary.
Right.
But we do have the unit level proprietary. We're using mostly proprietary assessments like EdTPA. We have intern keys, which is being validated, as you know, in the state of Georgia. University of Georgia is leading that study right now with Tracy Elder. And so we're waiting on the results of that for the content validation of that instrument. Then we'll have to do our own interrelator reliability, I'm assuming.
Right.
Once we see that.
Exactly. And really with that's just a plan.
So instead of getting the actual numbers for the inter-rater reliability, there's just a plan for training the users, the supervisors, the teachers, the university supervisors. And that's the same for like the program assessments. We have a table that tags them to the SPA standards and the CAEP, and then we have a plan to train our supervisors to use those instruments, then we don't actually have to have the numbers,
Statistical
information.
It's not an expectation that it's going to be a statistical.
Okay.
You know, I think both the PSC and CAEP understand that you don't have. Every institution doesn't have a statistician on site, right? And to be able to do it at that level, and that's not the goal.
We can show that we are making, I guess, a good faith effort
Right.
to document, to train and document our effectiveness of the training.
Exactly.
Okay.
And and another option, because I think everyone here is CAEP, going through the CAEP process, right? And so you can also submit your unit-wide assessments to the optional assessment instrument review, and you can get some feedback.
Right.
So you can know ahead of time before your review some areas that you might want to continue to strengthen, and so there
Which
won't
we're
be any
considering
surprises.
The dispositional assessment, because right now we're using, we've said standard 5 and 9 on the in-task, on our intern keys as dispositional assessment. We want to look at that this fall
Right.
and see if this is going to be helpful
Yeah.
data, and then we may end up, we had an instrument, but I think everyone voted they didn't like
Okay.
it. So it wasn't meaningful.
Right.
It wasn't, and so we don't want to keep working with that. And this is, we want to get instruments, assessments that give us meaningful
data that
data
you
so
need.
that
Yeah.
we can improve our program.
Exactly.
And I know that's the goal of everyone.
And even if you have a really strong instrument, still go ahead and submit it. If you're going to submit one, just submit all of them, because then it won't be a surprise when it comes to the review if
But
they
we
do.
shouldn't submit something like intern keys, or some are using the caps, because that's already been validated, is my understanding.
Right. So if it's something that's already validated, then you don't have to. But even with, I think I had this conversation at the assessment directors meeting. Yeah, I told them if you want to submit intern keys, you can, because at least you can get some additional feedback as you're going through that process as well.
So individual institutions can submit it, even though
Sure.
the study's been done statewide.
Right.
That's when we consider that.
So does that help?
Yes,
It does.
Okay.
very helpful.